Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well, and welcome to this night-ending bonus. Before we jump into it, a couple links. As many of you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, channel membership, and the merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. Links to Patreon, PayPal, and channel membership is in the description below. Merch displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1 through 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeff Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support the channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe. It does not cost a cent. Click the like button, takes half a second. If you don't want to miss out on any of the informative uploads I put out daily, click that bell icon, and folks, please leave a comment. Why? Well, because all of these things really do help the channel to continue to grow and go. And yeah, folks, they definitely do matter. Now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's jump in to this night-ending bonus upload, shall we?
Tonight's first Dogman encounter is a subscriber encounter. Hi, first I have to say I love your channel. Well, my encounter takes place in Orcas Island, that's in Washington. I live in Oklahoma and have never experienced anything like this at home. Went to Orca Island for my stepbrother's wedding, supposed to be a great time. I did enjoy this trip up until my encounter. Okay, here goes my story. This place was beautiful my first time going. It's gorgeous. Huge trees right by the ocean, and there are deer everywhere. Even driving down the road, the deer are eating grass, not afraid of people. I just couldn't believe how much I loved it there. The night of the wedding was great. We all had a fun time and were worn out from dancing and celebrating. But didn't drink, and I don't use drugs. I'm completely sober. And didn't imagine this, even though I wish I did. Going back to the place I was staying, kind of a cottage or a condo, had a garden and apple trees and deer all around. I decided to step outside to this bench and smoke a cigarette, looking up at the beautiful shining bright stars in the sky, thinking, what a great night this is. Then I hear this crackling like branches breaking, and I'm thinking it's going to be a deer, so I look over at these two apple trees where the sound is coming from. And it's very dark outside, only the moon and stars are shining. I can only make out a dark, big shadow, so I walk a little closer, trying to see better. Mind you, I still think it's a deer. And then I hear this low, very deep growl, and I freeze with fear, thinking, what is this, because it's no deer? And then I see this face that I will never forget. Looks like a dog or a wolf face, and it's massive with pointed ears and yellow eyes, and huge, big, sharp white teeth. It's looking right at me and growling. It was black, and what I could see of its body during this short time was muscles like a bodybuilder. I guess you could say I froze with fear. I wanted to move and run, but couldn't. As I'm standing there looking at this creature, it takes a step towards me and starts growling more, lays its ears back on its head and pulls its lips back, revealing even more huge, sharp white teeth, kind of like a dog does when it's angry or going to attack. I came out of my trance and just ran for my life back to the room, which was not far, not knowing if this thing was chasing after me or if I was going to die. And I'm happy to say I didn't. I made it inside my room and slammed and locked the door, all the locks, although no door and amount of locks would have stopped this creature if it really had wanted to come after me, and didn't sleep all night. I was happy to be going home the next morning, so I didn't have to stay another night there, and worried about future encounters with this, I guess, Dogman. I've heard your stories and others talk about their encounters, but until you actually have one, and know this creature is real and out there in this world, it's a whole other experience entirely. and wouldn't wish it on anyone because you can't unsee this or forget about it, so everyone be careful. Out there, please. You never know when something might run into you or you into it. Also, I didn't smell any strange smells, like some people say, just a lot of nightmares, and this happened September of 2019. And to this day, I'm still having nightmares about it. That face, I think, will haunt me forever. Thank you. Tonight's second part of the upload. There are all manner of creatures skirting out past the fringes of what we know, inhabiting a realm that we cannot at this time fully understand. One of these types of mystery animals are strange beasts akin to hyenas that stalk the landscape of North America. Very unusual since these creatures are in no way native to these lands. Although quite rare as these things go, there have been occasional sightings of something in the wilds of North America that seems to be keeping along the lines of something very hyena-like in nature. Indeed, such a creature plays a role in the lore and legends of the Lawe Indians of the Great Plains of the American West. A creature they called the Shunkaworkin, which means in their language carries off dogs, and which is known by various other local names. It is brutish, dark-furred beast with a sloping back, massive jaws, long front legs compared to the rear, and looking very much like what we today know as a hyena. These creatures were said to be extremely vicious and to be avoided at all costs, and the tribes of the region gave them a large berth. The Shunkaworkin was apparently often sighted by both native tribes and early white settlers of the area who typically described it as being very large and heavy set, with a build somewhat reminiscent of a cross between a wolf and a hyena, and with black and dark red fur. Some settlers claim to have even shot and mounted specimens of this beast, and there is at least one mysterious mounted specimen that was allegedly shot in Montana in 1886 by Israel Amon Hutchins. The specimen was acquired by a local taxidermist named Joseph Sherwood and stuffed and displayed at a general store in Idaho, where it was labeled as the Ringdocus. Although this mount has never been formally examined in any great depth and even went missing for a while, some cryptozoologists, notably the renowned Loren Coleman, have suggested that it is indeed physical evidence of the legendary Shunkaworkin. As recently as 2006, there was a strange-looking reddish-yellow wolf that was shot in Garfield County, Montana, after apparently going on a killing spree, slaughtering around 120 sheep. While there was some speculation in the crypto circle that it could be an actual specimen of the Shunkaworkin, the Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks Department eventually came to the conclusion that it was merely an individual wolf. Sightings of such large hyena-like beasts in North America have been made far and wide. An early report dug up by cryptozoologist Jerome Clark comes from August 3rd, 1910 article in the Fort Wayne Weekly Sentinel, Fort Wayne, Indiana. The sighting apparently happened in Delphos, Kansas, and the report states, "Considerable excitement was created here yesterday when Isaac Good, who lives on the Noah Miller farm in Marion Township, about a mile east of Delphos, came into town and reported that he had seen in the Fellman Woods, near the W.C. Baxter farm, between 8 and 9 in the morning, a strange-looking wild animal that had all the appearances of being a hyena. Mr. Good first saw the animal in the woods. It was sitting on its back haunches and licking its front paws, much in the same manner as a cat or a dog would. Mr. Good was quite near the animal before he saw it or before it saw him. After staring at him for a few moments, Mr. Good says the animal ran rapidly toward a cornfield and disappeared. His description of the strange beast left no doubt that it was a wild animal, that it was a hyena. Mr. Good remained about in the vicinity for some time, hoping to get another glimpse of the animal, but was unable to do so. He was on his way to Delphos to work, but after seeing the strange intruder in the woods, he gave up the idea of work for the day, and came to Delphos and endeavored to organize a number of armed men and procure dogs to chase the animal down. No reports had previously been heard concerning such an animal being seen in this part of the country, but Mr. Good's word is not doubted. The animal may have escaped from a circus. Another sighting of a possible Shunkaworkin was reported to Colorado Parks and Wildlife in 2019, in which a witness claims to have seen a large hyena pass in front of him at Garden of the Gods trading post in Colorado Springs, Colorado. In this case, it was found that there were no missing hyenas at the nearby Cheyenne Mountain Zoo, and authorities just sort of shrugged it off as a misidentification of a coyote, bobcat, or other locally known animal. Another notable sighting of the beast in 1991. Several witnesses claimed to have seen a hyena roving about Alberta Wildlife Park near Legal, Alberta, Canada. And in 1995, others were spotted in Idaho and Montana. More sightings have occurred in these areas in later years as well, such as a hyena spotted roaming about killing livestock in Montana in 2005, and at least 4 sightings of a hyena-like creature in 2015 and 2017. There was a fairly recent spat of sightings in 2004 in which a large hyena-like animal was reported prowling about killing dogs in rural Maine. The creature was sighted by dozens of witnesses, including policemen, all of whom said it looked just like a hyena. Also quite recent is a sighting of a witness who claims to have seen a hyena-like creature in 2010 in the vicinity of Adirondack Park in the southern Adirondacks of New York, my area. The witness says, "My wife and I saw what can only be described as a hyena chasing several deer across the road. The animal literally stopped dead in front of the car, staring back at us for 10 seconds before moving off. I've been in the woods my whole life, raised with a gun since childhood, and spent my summers on Lake Champlain. I've hunted, fished, instructed archery and rifle range, hiked, coon hunted at night, owned horses and ridden horseback through the wilderness, and presently live with all kinds of wildlife on my lakefront creekside property. I thought I'd seen it all, but I have no idea what this was, other than to say it was a hyena. It was very large, 150, 170 pounds. Long, bushy tail, brindle, wiry. Spotted, brown, black, and gray coat with powerful predator build. Thick lower jaw, rounded, diamond-shaped triangular head with rounded ears sitting high on the head, and what appeared to be a mane running down the back originating from the neck. Its hind legs were noticeably shorter than the front and much thicker and more powerfully muscled than the front. So that animal sloped down in a powerful rear. I've seen countless hyenas on Discovery and National Geographic and Wild Kingdom as a kid, and there is no other option than this strongly resembles a spotted hyena. Then a few days later, we saw it again doing the same thing. There is no doubt this was not a coyote or a wolf hybrid or a coy dog. This was a hyena. My property has a creek mouth, and lakefront, with 4 fish spawns, plenty of deer, coyote, red, and gray fox, fisher, eagles, turkeys, ducks, blue heron, owls, osprey, geese, ducks, turkey, vultures, and even the occasional black bear, and this fall a yearling moose. I've seen it all, especially riding horseback. You name it, I've seen it, and can identify it, but have never seen anything like this. As close as I can come, this is a spotted hyena. Similar to this mystery cryptid is another that seems to share some traits, and could even be the same thing, or something at least related to it. This enigmatic beast hails from the remote cold regions of the north, where the native tribes in the Nahanni Valley of the Northwest Territories of Canada have long spoken of an enormous wolf-like beast that stalks the frozen wastelands, and is called the Wahila. The Wahila is usually said to look very similar to a wolf, but much larger, more muscular and heavily built, and with shorter, stockier legs that are longer in the front than the back. Indeed, the Wahila's body is said to be almost bear-like in its shape and massive in quality. And it is also described as having disproportionately large feet that are almost like snowshoes, with widely spaced toes, a broader, more formidable head than a normal wolf with smaller ears, and it sometimes is mentioned as having long white fur. At least one eyewitness sighting has described the beast as being like a wolf on steroids and standing around 3.5 feet at the shoulder, which is far larger than a typical wolf. Legends surrounding this creature say that it is a solitary hunter rather than a pack animal like wolves and most other canine, and that it has various supernatural powers. Interestingly, the Wahila's main territory of the Nahanni Valley is also known for its large amount of disappearances and deaths, with corpses found having a habit of being minus a head, leading to a rather ominous nickname, the Headless Valley. Some have even blamed this mysterious deaths on the presence of the Wahila. And indeed the valley is wreathed in dark legends of numerous evil spirits said to inhabit it. The Wahila has also been reported from Alaska to northern Michigan, Ontario, Canada, and also its own version of the Wahila called the Ontario White Wolf. A sighting of what sounds very much like a Wahila or the Shunkaworkin was reported, and concerns what seems to be some massive hyena-like creature spotted in a rural area of Illinois, along Route 37 between Johnston City, Illinois and West Frankfort in 2008. The witness says that he was driving along at 11:30 at night when he had his encounter, of which he states, "Ahead of me in a distance, I saw a deer cross the road in front of me. Just a short bit after, a very large creature crossed the road as if it was stalking it. Illinois Route 37 is a 2-laned highway, and this creature took up a lane and a half, starting at the edge of the road. It was hunkered down like a cat would stalk something, but it was not a cat. The front haunches were like a hyena's. I couldn't tell if it had a tail. It looked more dog-like. If I had to say something it looked like, it would have had to have reminded me of a werewolf, like an American Werewolf in London. But that's what it reminded me of. After passing that point where they crossed the road, I turned around to see if I could see it again. No luck. I did see the deer trying to hide in a yard behind a few trees, lying there shaking as if it was terrified of something." Then this report from California. I used to live in California training movie animals. I was working in Calabasas on a music video shoot until the wee hours of the morning. As I was driving out of the canyon, I saw what my mind could only process as a small hyena on the side of the road. It was fairly close to the side of the road, but ran off into the darkness as I drove closer. I didn't get the most detailed look, but I was baffled because it truly looked like a small hyena. I worked with mostly wolves out there, but right next to our wolf compound there was a hyena. So I used to see him on a pretty much daily basis. I convinced myself that it was just my mind playing tricks on me. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was a bear cub or a bobcat that just looked weird in the dark and the truck lights. I've never heard of another sighting of a hyena in the Americas. Now I'm wondering if I caught a glimpse of a cryptid. This report comes to us from Florida. One night I was driving northwest from Miami, cutting through Florida via Alligator Alley. It was around 2 a.m. when my headlights illuminated on an animal on the shoulder of the highway. It was smaller than a deer, but bigger than a coyote. As I got closer, it picked up its long neck and looked towards my direction. I was able to get a closer look of its face and body. It reflected my headlights in its eyes. It either was smelling something or eating something on the ground. The first thing I said to myself was, "What the fuck? Is that a hyena?" I know hyenas aren't native to North America, but I do know people who own exotic animals in Florida. I thought maybe it escaped or someone set it free. All I know is that I didn't see a deer with huge canine teeth, nor a disproportionate hyena. The animal was tall and creepy looking. It was totally out of place, and I have no reason to make this up. What are we dealing with here? Theories on what such creatures could be vary, with one of the most recent popular ideas in cryptozoology being that it is not any of the sort of wolf at all, but rather a relic population of a prehistoric beast known as the bear dog. These imposing creatures were from a family of Amphiazidae, a group of animals that resembled a hybrid between a wolf and a bear, hence their common name, and are thought to have died out in the New World around 2 million years ago and in the Old World around 10,000 years ago. It could also be that they are a relic population of the Borophagni, which are large hyena-like canines often called bone-crushing dogs, or they represent some form of American hyena. Other theories point to a relic population of dire wolves, which are large, heavy-built wolves that became extinct about 125,000 years ago. Yet other theories speculate that these cryptids could be indicative of some sort of North American relative of the hyena, or a new species of large canine altogether. More skeptical evaluations point to this all being mere exaggerated reports of known animals. Sightings of aberrant, unusually colored specimens of coyote or wolf, or simply escaped exotic pets or zoo specimens. Whatever they are, these monsters are in the prowl of the wilderness. Tonight's third encounter is kind of an update from a subscriber who just recently shared his encounter with us from Southwest Arkansas. I do have another tale involving my brother and myself. My brother and his family are close with me and my family, so we are always having cookouts. He and I would man the grill while the kids and wives would be inside or playing. My brother's place sits on his 20 acres, and we were outside after everyone had eaten, just talking while he smoked. It was completely dark, and we were chatting away about all of the fruit trees he had planted. My brother had 2 Dobermans that were penned up and 2 Chihuahuas that were inside dogs. We were deep in conversation when my brother said, "Be quiet." Since we did so much hunting, we could read each other, so when one of us tells the other to be quiet or listen, we would be silent. After he said be quiet, we heard a low groan at first, but then it turned into what sounded like several men being slaughtered. Then the coyote started howling from his pasture. His Doberman started howling, and every hair on my body was standing straight up. I said to my brother, "What the fuck?" He then said, "Yeah, we might need to go back inside." So that's what we did. All of our years in the woods, we had never heard anything like that. Again, we didn't see anything, but it must have been traumatic for the Dobermans because not long after that, they escaped from their pen while the Chihuahuas were outside, and they bit one of the Chihuahuas in half. My brother tried to put them back in their pen, and both of them tried to attack him. He has little kids, and so do I, and he said he couldn't risk it, so the Dobermans had to be euthanized for safety of the kids. He loved his dogs, so before anyone jumps on that kick, back in the day they would have caught lead poisoning, if you get my meaning. Thank you for allowing me to get this out there, and my brother is looking forward to reading it. Thank you for your time.
Well, there you have it, folks, this night-ending bonus. I hope you all enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. I'd like to thank you all for supporting the channel. It is, after all, your support that keeps the channel growing and going, and honestly, what gives people a chance and a place to share their experiences and theories judgment-free. Everyone, please stay safe, happy, healthy, and ever vigilant, keeping an eye on our children, our pets, our family, and friends. These creatures are real. They are out there and dangerous. Share this information with those you love and care about, and it may just help save their lives someday. Until next time, never stop asking questions, never stop searching for the truth. God bless.